Step with me, if you dare, into the gray mist of the soul's borderlands. For this explainer, I want you to imagine me slipping into the heavy, inescapable robes of the Pale Inquisitor. We are going on a deeply psychological, almost graphic novel-style journey straight into the architecture of our own internal guilt. Today, we aren't just skimming over abstract concepts, we're navigating the absolute, inescapable law of perfectionism. We're walking the iron bridge. So let's dive right into this dark allegory and really uncover the crushing gravity of the human psyche. Listen to this for a second and just let it toll like a spectral bell in your mind. I am a wanderer and a mountain climber. Now, speaking as the Pale Inquisitor, I'm not whispering that to comfort you. I'm saying it to establish a chilling authority right out of the gate. This journey, it marks the total death of spontaneous, idle thought. It's the beginning of a metaphysical ascent, where every single step is heavy, and the atmosphere just grows freezing cold. We are leaving the safe valley behind, and the sheer gravity of what we're exploring is going to demand your absolute focus. Act 1. The Geometry of Guilt. Let's look out over the desolate, foggy borderlands of the soul. There's a massive contrast we need to talk about here. On one side, we have the reading rabble. Basically, these are the onlookers, the hollow-chested specters who just gather around to pass the time. They love the flat plains, the soft cushions of easy understanding, and the idle chatter of a common tongue. As the Inquisitor, I look down on them with a pretty cynical sneer, honestly. But on the other side, we have the Seeker. The Seeker isn't looking for entertainment. The Seeker actively chooses the harsh reality of the Iron Bridge, a place of jagged rocks, crushing gravity, and absolute law. The Seeker inherently understands that true engagement is an agonizing climb. Imagine this vivid visual, right? Out of the text, the Inquisitor violently strikes the cold iron of the bridge with his emerald staff, and it doesn't bring forth blossoms or life, right? Instead, bam, it casts this sickening twilight glow, illuminating the jagged architecture of a soul written in blood. Existence in this space is absolutely not a vessel waiting to be filled with joy. It's a penitential garment, deeply, deeply etched with the failures of the past. Moving right along to Act 2, Purification through Subtraction. To even survive this grueling climb, you've got to understand the archetype guiding it. You see, the air of wisdom is incredibly thin up here. You have to earn every single breath by stripping away everything that is weak, chaotic, or, well, human. The Inquisitor acts as what the text calls the anti-Galahad. So instead of a holy knight offering you grace and salvation, I am the figure demanding you pull yourself up by the literal jagged rocks of my own suffering. My emerald staff summons iron-thorned briars. It's an environment perfectly designed to enforce a freezing atmosphere where purification is only achieved through brutal subtraction. You literally have to cut away the noise of life until nothing but a harsh, sterile law remains. And things get really bleak once you hit the summit. First, the Seeker has to face the Black Knight, serving as a chilling holy mirror that basically reflects your own nothingness back at you. Next, you arrive at the Shattered Gate, and spoiler alert, it isn't a threshold to paradise, it's a terminal spiritual vacuum. Finally, the Silver Wolf of primal instinct is weaponized into the Wild Verdant, this relentless force that entangles the psyche. Up in these desolate high peaks, the reader essentially becomes a martyr for a dark apotheosis. You are meant to be entirely consumed by the law. Act 3. The Mirror Reflection. So, what happens when a human mind manages to achieve the impossible? Let's say the Seeker actually transcends the rabble and stands right upon the precipice. They are completely, totally emptied out. They achieve the state of a single blank page. The massive ledger of the Inquisitor finds absolutely zero chaotic noise or disharmonious desires left to record anywhere. The Seeker has hit a state of clean nothingness, forming what the text dubs the holy whole. It is literally the flawless peak manifestation of purification through subtraction. But here is the ultimate twist of this entire explainer, the paradox that completely shatters the foundation of the Iron Bridge. Think about it. The Inquisitor defines his entire existence through the act of judging, recording failure, and silencing the chaotic noise of life. Therefore, if a Seeker actually becomes a perfectly silent soul, well, the spectral judge isn't needed anymore. Because your entire existence as the Punisher is defined by silencing noise, absolute silence renders you completely, utterly obsolete. Section 4. The Necrotic Superego. Let's look at the internal judge. Let's step out of the metaphor for a second here. The text brilliantly defines this force as the necrotic superego. This is your own internal judge, but one that has become completely toxic and dead. It's a psychological state that exists purely as a magnet for the ink of regret and the heavy debris of human failure. Think about this in your own life for a minute. The Inquisitor isn't some demon in the clouds. He is that hypercritical inner voice of perfectionism that feeds exclusively on your internal guilt and your transgressions. He is the weight of your own impossible standards. And guess what? If you have no guilt, he starves. Let's walk through the actual mechanics of how perfectionism destroys the Punisher. Step 1. The Seeker achieves total silence. This is the absolute perfection the judge always demanded. Step 2. Because of this silence, the judge's massive ledger finds absolutely no chaotic noise to record. Step 3. Without a transgression to anchor him, the judge entirely loses his magnetic pull. We're seeing how achieving the very thing the necrotic superego demands is the exact mechanism that unravels its power completely. Which brings us to Act 4, dissolving the Iron Bridge. We are now at the vanishing point. The source describes this visual so perfectly. The Inquisitor drifts in robes made of iron filings. But why do they even hold their shape? They're magnetized by the density of a flawed spirit. In the total absence of guilt, those insanely heavy robes suddenly lose all their magnetic density. The very architecture of the Iron Bridge starts to literally dissolve, simply because there is no human failure left to sustain its crushing gravity. It's a chillingly beautiful realization. Without a transgression to anchor him, the Inquisitor has absolutely nothing left to hold him in the physical realm. He just dissipates into the gray fog of the borderlands. It proves that the judge was never a cosmic objective constant. No, the crushing weight of the Pale Inquisitor was only ever exactly as real and exactly as heavy as the Seeker's own internal sense of guilt. And paradoxically, in this final moment of obsolescence, the Inquisitor goes through one last transformation. Instead of attacking with the iron-thorned briars of the wild verdant, he becomes an accidental saint. Right there, upon the threshold of the void, he looks at the perfectly silent Seeker and finally recognizes an equal, a total vacuum of individuality. The judge simply steps aside, honoring their shared clean nothingness. The spiritual vacuum has finally been achieved. So, we arrive at the end of the Iron Bridge, leaving the Seeker standing completely alone in the mist. And we have to ask ourselves, what actually happens when the final spectral bell tolls for a law that has no noise left to silence? When the necrotic superego is finally starved of regret, what is left of the mind that built it? It's a haunting thought to leave you with, right? To really ponder the true crushing weight of your own perfectionism and the eerie, blank obsolescence that waits for you if you ever actually achieve it. Thank you so much for walking the bridge with me today. Keep seeking, keep analyzing, and I'll see you in the next explainer.